October, November last year. How hard were you throwing?
Like 81, 82. I think I got like 82. I went to a camp. I was like throwing as hard as I could. Like this summer and this fall, I made a pretty big jump. Got up to 90 this fall. Got those offers and got committed.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode on the Athletic Podcast Baseball Development Show. We have Charlie Hendrix as our guest today. For you guys who don't know, son of Greg Hendrix, senior right-handed pitcher and infielder at St. Pius High School here in Atlanta. Charlie, welcome to it. This is the first official podcast you've done,
first
right?
time being on.
Yeah. So Charlie spent a lot of time, in the building with us, but first time we're actually getting him on a show. So, you guys will get to know a little bit of the man behind the myth, I guess, as they say. Get to hear all his well-spoken words. But just tell them a little bit about yourself, man. I know I introduced you already, but kind of tell them a little bit about your growing up here in Atlanta and playing baseball and some of the most recent news that you've gone through. I'll let you spill the secrets. I won't tell everybody, but just kind of go through where you've been the last 3 or 4 years, man. Put yourself on the map right here to the audience.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Yeah. So, like Dave said, Charlie Hendrix. I go to St. Pius. Committed to Georgetown right now. So I guess the past, I grew up in Atlanta. Played at Murphy Candler for a few years when I was younger. Then played at Buckhead baseball. After that, and then played travel ball. Played at ITP. ATL Lightning, went to 643 after that. Was there for a few years and finished up with Pro Stock. They were the ones who really got me recruited, helped with the commitment to Georgetown this fall. So that was big, and it's basically where I've been playing since I was little. In the past few years, past few years have been, kind of up and down. I feel like, freshman year I pitched for varsity some. I pitched like one time for varsity, but, I was on the team, got that experience. And then sophomore year, I played a decent role on the mound, but, I still wasn't really where I wanted to be, like velo-wise or anything. And, same kind of last year. I pitched a good bit. Velo was getting up there, but it really wasn't quite where I wanted it to be at. And then like this summer and this fall, I made a pretty big jump. Got up to 90 this fall, and then got those offers and got committed.
Yeah, that's great, man. The big commitment. Georgetown. For you guys that know the Georgetown pedigree, that's a big deal. I don't know if Georgetown baseball is as notorious as Georgetown basketball, but still, nonetheless, it's a pretty that's a pretty big commitment, man. What did they say? Is it Hoya Saxa? What do they say?
Yes, their motto is like Hoya Saxa.
Hoya Saxa. Do you know what that means?
Not exactly. It's Latin for something. They started chanting it at some sporting event, like way back.
I still don't know what that means. You're the one who told me about it. I looked it up and I couldn't figure out what the heck it actually meant. But nonetheless, man, the Georgetown commitment is awesome. And like you said, you've had some ups and downs. So back up a little bit. We'll go to the fall and the winter first and talk about some of the big jumps that you made. But looking back a little further, I remember about this time last year, maybe a few months prior to this, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking maybe October, November last year. How hard were you throwing?
Like 81, 82. I think I got like 82.
Yeah.
I went to a camp. I was like throwing as hard as I could.
Yeah.
Popped in 82.
Yeah.
It was like the hardest I'd thrown.
Yeah. So, okay. And you guys take a look at Charlie. What are you, 6'1"?
Yeah, 6'1", 165.
165. That's probably generous. He's probably giving himself a few pounds. But,
a couple.
You're looking at a guy who has a good frame and, you struggled to put on some size and some mass in the past. But I remember watching you, like you said, when you were a freshman at Pius and you got some varsity innings. Because I was watching some of the guys that I coached previously play on that team. And I remember you getting innings, and I knew who you were because I played with your dad in the men's league. So I was like, okay, let's see what he's got. And I remember thinking, dang, he can throw the ball okay. He's 76 to 78, but you looked the part, you threw the ball pretty well. and I knew that you'd have some opportunities down the road to be a pitcher. So you're talking about last fall being 80, 81, 82, going to camps, throwing as hard as you could. People telling you that's not enough. It's not enough. You're not throwing hard enough. Okay, what was next? Because you made some jumps, and those jumps started during your junior school year last year at Pius. I remember you guys made a playoff run. You were a big part of that, pitching either in the second slot or third slot. I don't remember which one, but pitching against some really good talent, some really good hitters, some really good teams. Like, did that help propel you a little bit into what you are now and what you've become and what you've worked so hard on?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, getting that opportunity to pitch a lot last year, and I mean, in my sophomore year, I mean, pitching against some really good teams then, and then last year too. I think, yeah, it definitely played a good role, and helping. I think that really helped with just like the pitchability and like the confidence and everything. Just feeling comfortable on the mound and feeling comfortable throwing my pitches, whenever I want to, and just really working on stuff like that. And then with the velo, I think biggest thing was getting stronger, putting on weight, and then after that, just like mechanical adjustments and working on mobility a lot, and then just throwing more, getting my arm strength up. Like those were the main things.
Okay, so some cliches, right? Like for you throwers, it's get stronger, move better, better mobility, get the arm strength up. You need a long toss. You need to do this. You need to do that. Like, and I agree. The cliches and the simple, that is what it is. But all the years of working with your dad, okay, and kind of following in his footsteps, how did that help you prepare? Because he's done it before. He's not just a dad telling you do this because I think this is what's right to do. He's done it before and he's executed it. And I think now, probably more than ever, you're starting to learn that how you execute some of these small, simple tasks, some of the cliches, probably make a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
And like, talk a little bit about that, both when you were struggling to reach back for more and now that you've actually gotten it. I think that what a lot of guys seem to have trouble understanding is that when you're behind a little bit, maybe you don't throw as hard, maybe you're not as big, maybe you're not as strong, you seem to think you need a different set of things than when you already are strong enough and already do throw hard. Like, the executables don't change that much. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd say I agree with that. I think, I mean, it's not, what you're trying to do isn't going to be changing. It just sort of, I guess, your abilities are going to like progress, but the base of what you're trying to do isn't going to.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned pitchability. What does that word mean to you and your family?
I guess to me, I'd say just executing your pitches, being able to locate your fastball, obviously, and then throw your secondary pitches for strikes. Just kind of how well you execute your pitches, I'd say.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because we're talking about pitching right now. He still plays infield, guys. So you're still an infielder and a hitter. But obviously, like, your Georgetown commitment was as a pitcher. At the next level, you're going to be a pitcher. That's what you see yourself doing the best. Your father was a pitcher. He coaches pitchers now. So to me, it's no surprise that you're coming out on that end as a pitcher. But what do you feel like? Do you feel like still playing a position and hitting and doing all these athletic things have helped you get better as a thrower and a pitcher too? You see now guys are committing so early to being a PO, quote unquote PO, at 13, 14, 15, sometimes 16. You have still not officially made that jump. What does that mean to you? Like, I'm sure you can tell all these guys all the things you still do that are athletic in nature and that still require you to be an athlete. Does playing a position help?
Yeah, I think it definitely does. I mean, you sort of talked about keeping you like an athlete. I think that's the biggest thing. It keeps you athletic, keeps you moving well. I mean, they're playing middle infield. I mean, you make throws from all different kind of arm slots. Throws on the run. You're just moving differently than when you're just kind of stationary on the mound. And it's it brings something else into your throwing, and I think that definitely helps with staying fluid and just, I mean, it helps with all aspects of pitching, I'd say.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. I think that your best athletes are your best pitchers, your best athletes are your best catchers, your best athletes are your best hitter. The best athletes are going to be the best at things on the field. They're the most skilled players. And at the end of the day, making yourself a better athlete makes you better at whatever positions you play. So talk about that. Back up a little bit. You're talking about Buckhead baseball, Murphy Candler, being a young kid. I'm sure your dad was showing you all these things at a young age, probably yelling at you because you couldn't do them good enough. Talk about that stuff a little bit, man. Like what kind of disciplines were set early on to the point where when you did get to high school baseball, you were maybe ahead of some of the other guys. Like talk about some of that stuff. What did you do early on?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the biggest things early on, my dad, I mean, the VELO Max program, I feel like I've been doing it for the past 8 years, basically. I mean, my dad slowly, kind of progressed with, his knowledge and, hit what he likes to do, what he thinks works. And, I've kind of been a little testing dummy for it in a way.
Yeah.
But, it's clearly worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
And I think it definitely helped, starting off young with him kind of instilling these certain patterns that he really wanted me to work on and, like master. I think that definitely helped, just especially like it helped me to be able to make that jump from like 82 to 88, 90, because, I think I had that foundation like early on, and I had that foundation all throughout, when I was playing, youth travel ball and then into my earlier years of high school. I had that foundation, and then once I was able to put on the strength and add in like these little pieces, that it kind of allowed me to unlock everything that I had underneath that had been building for the last 6 years.
Yeah. Did you throw hard when you were younger? Ever?
I don't know. I feel like I honestly don't. I didn't really throw. I mean, I threw like above average when I was younger. But I didn't. I was never like this like flamethrower who just
Right.
kind of blew it by kids.
Right.
It was more, just throwing strikes, putting it over the plate, stuff like that.
Pitchability.
Yeah.
Right. So early on, you were learning pitchability. And you're lucky because there's a lot of really talented arms that they don't learn this stuff at a young age. And I can see it. Like when I first saw you play, I think you were probably 14 or 15 when I first saw you play. I noticed, okay, like he's got some things that he's obviously learned and picked up early on, and that's important. Fast forward again to this fall and winter, like the past 4 to 6 months, you had a big summer. The velo, when it started getting warm out towards the end of the high school season and the early summer, first couple tournaments you played in, your velo started going up, started jumping up, 2 or 3 clicks. You were getting into the mid 80s, which naturally is going to happen. You went from being 16, 17 to now 17, 18, making that transition. But then we kind of turned a corner a little bit, and we started taking the training and our programming piece a little bit more seriously.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Talk about, I want to hear it from your perspective. Obviously, we know what we did for you and what we helped you with, but you took it upon yourself to really lock in and have a discipline for it. So talk about that a little bit, man. Like what was important for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think starting off this summer, definitely just staying on track with my workouts. I was working out, 3, sometimes 4 days a week, usually about 3 days a week this summer, and then staying on top of my throwing. I mean, I was throwing basically every day. I mean, this summer I probably threw 95% of the days over the summer, and just keeping that going. And then I think this summer it was more just kind of maintaining everything, maintaining the foundation and maintaining the strength. And the velo just kind of ticked up from it getting warmer, just continually working on everything. And then this fall I think was really when I was able to really lock in the weight room. I put on 10 pounds in about a month.
Yeah.
Real quick. I was just really grinding in the weight room, really trying to gain weight. And I feel like that jump, that kind of pushed me from being, talking to some schools like this summer, some D2s, D3s looking at me, having some interest, and then getting to that point where, I had offers from these Division I schools. And I think it was really that I'd say that month where I was really focusing on being in the weight room, getting stronger, because I shut down for about 3 weeks after the summer ended, just to kind of let my arm rest. And, during that period, I was just really focused on getting stronger, working on anything I was kind of lacking in. And I think it was really that period that I made the biggest jump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you guys, go ahead and hit the link above to see kind of the video of us putting together programming and stuff for Charlie. We did that back in the fall, and you guys can kind of get a glimpse of how we put that together and our thought process behind it. Everything that you're talking about, like you mentioned throwing 95% of the days. You have to throw to get better at throwing.
Yeah.
And I don't think people truly understand that. I think everybody kind of has their own idea about like, oh, recovery needs to be first. Oh, your rest time needs to be first. Guys, you got to throw to get better at throwing. And we're going to give you guys more information towards the end. We're going to talk about the Velocity Max program. You guys be sure to click the link below if you want more information on that or if you're ready to apply for that program. But basically, that program is how we manage the intensity, the frequency, and the volume of the throwing that you have to do, like you said, every day.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think people truly get that. And that's why you saying that, okay, it wasn't really until the fall till I was really able to take a step back and manage all those pieces. That was important for you. That was important for your development. And because of it, you made the biggest jumps. But I think it's also important to point out, man, that your jumps were incremental. 80 to 81, 81 to 82, 83, 82, 83 to now you're mid. Okay, sitting mid for a while. Mid. Okay, you pop a 6. Okay, pop a 7. Okay, we're back to mid. Okay, 7 again. Pop. And then all of a sudden we put in the new regimen. We put in the strength. We put it. And now it's new stimulus for you. So even if you're, call it whatever you want, plateaued, stuck, a lot of different words for it. New stimulus is what's going to get you better and push you forward, while still maintaining, executing what you need to execute. The best part about the fall early on is did you play any tournaments? I know you were on the pro stock team, but you maybe only pitched in 1 or 2, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I pitched in 3 tournaments total, but early on, yeah, I didn't pitch for the first 2 tournaments,
right?
Because I'd taken some time off, and so I was focused on ramping back up and really getting to where I was peaking. Before I was throwing in tournaments and just kind of unnecessarily.
Yeah, no, and I think that makes sense. I think you have to do that. What were we? Maybe 6 to 8 weeks in to your new strength regimen and you throwing again, like when you came back from your hiatus. That's probably when you popped your first, 88 or 89, 89.5 or something. And you're like, holy crap, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
Is that about it's my timeline right there?
I think so. I hit the 89.5 in a bullpen kind of early on. It was shortly after when I stopped. It was like kind of right when I was coming back to throwing. I had that month where I was really in the weight room a lot, and I'd still been throwing some. I'd been throwing like once a week, and then maybe 2 weeks back to ramping up throwing. I got that 89.5 in a bullpen, and then maybe a month later was when I threw in front of Wofford in Georgetown, and I didn't even know it until like December, when the Georgetown pitching coach told me that I'd hit 90 that game. I never even realized, but I said something about like what I'd topped, and he like overheard it. He was like, "No, like you got like 90. I think it was like 90.2 that game that I came and saw you."
That's awesome.
I didn't even realize until 2 months after. So
no, that's great, man. I mean, but that's when guys do the best. That's like guys that you're in this program with, Matt Davis, like their best numbers are when they're not trying to put up their best numbers. You were just trying to go out there and show something good for people. So that's awesome. So all right, so here we are now. You made it through the fall. You made it through the winter. You're upper 80s right now. You just threw live earlier today. I didn't see the numbers, but I think you were probably sitting mid 80s at very low intent, right?
Yeah.
So you're right where you need to be right now for this time of year. How is that going at Pius? Does Harlan have you guys kind of ramping up and getting ready to go? I don't know if you guys have been inter squad and just practicing, but how do you feel about this upcoming season? Because we're talking about Georgetown commits. We're talking about getting better. We're talking about VELO gains, strength programs, and all this. But I think it's important to remember you've got a 2024 high school season to close out your high school career. This is your last semester of high school. Are you ready? How do you feel? What's the team look like? Kind of without giving away all the pious secrets, like go into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm really excited about it. I think the team's going to be looking good this year. I'm definitely ramping up. I'm getting ready for it. I'm excited. Yeah, I guess I've been throwing live. I guess I've thrown live 3 times at Pius now, and then a 4th time here today.
Okay.
So, definitely, I think it's important to get in front of hitters. Have hitters in the box. Throw to them. Even if you're still ramping up, you're not at 100%. You're just throwing. You're throwing lower intent. It's still important. Get comfortable with a guy in the box.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm definitely ready for the season. Still ramping up some, but I'm gonna be ready once these games start.
Yeah,
excited for it.
I mean, and you guys have a competitive team. I don't know how big is your senior class this year.
So our senior class is small. I mean, it's just 4 guys.
Okay.
But we've got me and another kid going to Lafayette.
Yeah.
Our first baseman, and then we've got a Barry commit, and then we've got another PO sidearm guy who's looking to play somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll see about that. He's looking at some D2s, D3s, but he's definitely made a jump. He's looking good. So senior class, it's small, but I'd say it's still a strong class.
Yeah. So relying on some of the younger guys to get some work done, which is good, man. That's what you want. You want those guys to work. What's Harlan got you guys working on right now? Again, without giving away your secrets, like what are some of the themes, and not necessarily what you're doing at practice and everything else, but more so like things he's telling you guys, things you're talking about. Like I'm pretty sure, you guys are expected to be a playoff team and expected to go deep into playoffs and be competitive. And, you went up against a juggernaut offense last year when you guys got knocked around a little bit. But what's the messages and themes that are going out to you guys right now?
They're really the same messages he's always had in the past 3 years. It's just been, big focus on, being a good teammate, big focus on character, I think. Those are, he's definitely a great coach. He really focuses more on like a character aspect of it, and doing the right things, and then that creates the kind of team you want.
Yeah.
And then the baseball side is going to come. Like it's going to be you to an extent you have that or you don't. I think a big aspect of it is creating a team that's going to play well together, and so that's something he really focuses on, I think. Yeah. And I think the chemistry is great with the team. So I think it's going to be a good year.
That's nice, man. That's awesome. I think, man, I can remember so clearly back to like right before my senior year of high school, and I had a good senior year. Not everybody can say that, but I remember having a good senior year. Our team did not, and it's one of those things, man. Of course, as an individual, for you're going to play college baseball. I went to play college baseball. As an individual, you're always focused on the individual stuff, right? Like, okay, I'm going to play college, committed, the hard work's done. But at the end of the day, the team that you're on, you want that team to be successful, so being a part of that is important. Talking about teams, man, like going back to Velocity Max now, like you said, you've basically been doing the shell of that program for the past 8 to 10 years with your dad as a little kid. Your dad and I got together 3 or 4 years back and really started to get serious about putting together the curriculum for it. How have you seen the culture of that change as a team? I mean, we've had similar guys that are on your level, yourself, Matt, Davis, to speak of a few that have done it together and kind of fed off of each other, and you can start to see a culture building. Like, what is that doing, like, for the program, but also what is it doing for you guys? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think, that's been really important, having that culture and having those guys to kind of feed off of, like you were saying. Like Landon, Davis, Matt, having like a core like that, where we're all sort of at similar levels, looking for the same things, and just to be able to like feed off of each other and kind of push each other. Like see Davis pulling down 96, everybody else, all right, we got to get working, we got to get there too.
Yeah.
And then, so I think that's been good. And then as the program's progressed, I mean, I think the culture's progressed too, and the level of player in it has progressed with the program. I mean, there's been guys who've kind of filtered out, it's just not made for them.
Yep.
And I think that's helped, just, filtering people out and then having this strong core and just continually progressing the kind of guy that's in the program.
Yeah.
And creating a good culture.
Yeah, man. I like that, and I'm constantly reminded how important that is for like the next click down from you guys. So you guys are juniors and seniors, like the guys you mentioned, but seeing what it's doing for like our freshman and sophomore group of guys, it's unreal. Like those guys, you should be growing and getting better every year at that age anyway. But our guys are really getting better at that age. They're learning from you guys. They're able to lock in, focus, and compete with you guys, even though they're not quite to that level yet. And I think that trickles on down. That can trickle on down to your more talented 13 and 14-year-olds too, and then even below that. So having guys that are almost veterans of the program, I mean, that makes your dad's job and Tyler's job way easier when they're running that program. What are some of the things that you feel are the most helpful in that program and in that regimen, whether they're things that are done in each segment of the program or whether they're things that are filtered in and out? What are some of the most beneficial things for you?
I guess one, just having all 7 days of the week, lined up, knowing what you need to do, the intent you need to keep. I think we talked about, throwing 95% of the time this summer, basically. And that's definitely important, but it's also equally important for guys to understand, you're not going out there every single day trying to throw, 100%.
Right.
Like, you're probably throwing 100% 2, maybe 3 days a week, if that. I mean, a lot of the days it just, you're gonna have a couple days a week, you're just very light intent, keeping the arm moving, making sure your sequencing is right and just kind of building on those patterns that you want to like focus on. And then you're gonna have other days it's more medium intent, and then you're gonna have your high intent days, you're long tossing or you're getting on the mound.
Right.
So I think it's been big to have that laid out. And then the pre-throw, all of that stuff is great, whether it's mobility work, which is something I think is really important, and then the plyo work, band work, stuff like that. I think having all of that laid out is great. And that stuff you always have access to.
Yeah.
And then when you're in here, having 2 coaches who can just kind of like walk around and help you as you're going through as you're going through your daily throwing, and just kind of tweak things. I think that's been big.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. That's all good advice, and a lot of guys say the same thing. Just literally having a script to follow. Like I like when guys think for themselves and make their own routines up and stuff like that, but sometimes, man, you need it laid out for you, and it's helpful to have. And that's what we've been able to do for guys in this program. I think that's, like you said, probably the most helpful thing. Like, what would be your advice for somebody maybe your age who is teetering, right? Like trying to figure out, okay, do I do a program? Do I just focus on my strength? Do I do it velocity max, or do I do it with somebody else? Like, what would be your advice in figuring out what to choose? Like, a lot of people have trouble knowing what they want, so it's hard for us to help people who don't know what they want. But as the kid that's in the seat right now, what would you tell people? Like, what are some of the things you'd be like, man, like, you really need to think about this, whether that program helps you with it or not, this is what you need to think of. Like, what are some of those things?
I think it's important for, kids to figure out what it is that they really need to work on. Like for somebody like me, if you really need to, you have more of a foundation built and you just really need to work on velocity and getting stronger, stuff like that. Or, your mechanics are all jacked up. You need to focus on that more. Your mobility. I think it's important for guys to know what their weak spots are and then once you've addressed what your weak spots are, then I think you can figure out how you're going to go about doing that. Whether it's, just you need to get stronger and you have that foundation built, are you going to the gym on your own, or are you coming somewhere like this where you're going to have more of a structured program? And then, on the throwing side, I think if with people who it's more of a mechanical issue, arm path, stuff like that. I think it's important. It's really important to get in with like a pitching coach. I think, the Velocity Max program is great for people like that. If the main issue is mechanics, stuff like that, I think that's going to be great for them.
Yeah. If you're going to progress, you need to progress, and you need to figure out what is the roadmap to progress. You see this a lot. Guys at 15, 16, pretty good. They got some good skills, some good talent, and they never do anything with it because they stop progressing. So I think what you said, speaking to everybody about just knowing what you want to do, knowing what you need to work on to get better, that kind of sets the map up for you. Now you just got to travel down the road, and we just want to give you guys the avenues to do that. No, so that's great, man. And listen, everybody's road is different. Your road is different than some of the other guys. So just knowing that at different points in your career, you need different things to develop is super important. And that's going to be my next question for you is you are we said it before, 6'1", 165 pounds. You're a senior, 18-year-old pitcher who still plays infield but is going to be a pitcher only in college. What do you need to do to keep progressing forward? What is your plan to keep progressing forward? And what do you think your ceiling is, man? What's your ceiling in this game?
I think the biggest thing for me to keep progressing, in my opinion, is just getting stronger. That's my main goal right now. It's difficult in season, but you can still work on it and still try to progress some. But then, come this summer, if I'm not playing as much, and especially this fall, this next off season, I think that's me my main focus. Putting on weight, getting up to at least like 180, 185, hopefully by the time next spring rolls around for my freshman year. Yeah. And then after, so I think that's going to be the biggest thing to help with my velo. And then after that, just working on being consistent with all of my off-speed pitches. Making sure I can throw them whenever I want to. Getting my 3-pitch mix to be as good as it can be, and then be as confident in all of them as I can be. And I think with my ceiling, I don't know what my ceiling is, but I think it's basically whatever. I don't think there really is one. I think my goal is to play pro ball. I understand, that's a very high goal, and I obviously have some backup. I'm not ride or die with that. Yeah. Gonna go be like 38 and trying to play pro ball. But I think that's the goal, and I think there isn't really a ceiling. Just keep pushing it and see where I can get.
Yeah, I love that, man. I think I agree with you. I think your ceiling is high enough to where you don't even need to look at it right now. It just keep working, keep getting better, man. I think you're easily going to be a mid-90s arm down the road. Let's keep you healthy. Let's keep getting you stronger. Let's prepare you for the aggressiveness and the vigors of this game as you continue to move into the college ranks and hopefully beyond that. And I'm looking forward to helping you, man. We're gonna work hard. I don't know what your summer plans are yet. You probably don't even know yet. I know there's probably some stuff that you're trying to line up. But for you guys that are interested in getting better, getting stronger, throwing harder, improving your pitchability, your 3-pitch mix, all the things, right? If you guys are interested in that, if you're interested in training with Charlie this summer and the guys and the boys, click the link below. Velocity Max application is below. We've got over 100 people that have already applied for that program. We're only taking 25 over the summer. Our strength training program will be rocking and rolling all the way through the year, both remotely and in person. There is plenty of opportunity for you guys to get better, whether you're here in Atlanta with us or you're outside of the city. Be sure to reach out. We'll help you guys out. Charlie, in the meantime, man, let's keep working. Let's keep getting better. I know you guys are just less than 2 weeks away from the start of the season, right?
Yeah.
Let's continue getting better, man. Let's get you guys right. And, let's not look back. I don't want to look back, but I want to keep pushing forward. So, one more thing from you, man, just a message to the viewers, just something that's kept you going from the Murphy Candler Buckhead baseball days all the way to now and then into college. Like, what is your thing, man? What is the one thing you would give baseball players a step or 2 or 3 behind you that are following in your footsteps? What's the thing that keeps you going and gets you up every day to do this?
I think one thing for me has been, focusing on, my younger self. Like as a little kid, this is something I've always wanted, to play college baseball, to play professional baseball. And I think that's one thing that motivates me to just make him proud, make the little kid, when I was 3 years old, who this was his dream, to make that dream come true. So I think that's been one big motivator for me, just kept me pushing, and just following my dreams. My dream is to get paid to play baseball. Just continue playing the game I love. So I think those have been the two things that have been pushing me, and just you have to love the game, and when you love it, you're gonna do what it takes to keep playing as long as you can.
I love that, man. Like, I'm gonna take all that and consolidate it.
Mm-hmm.
Make your future self your hero. Like, that's awesome. That's awesome advice. That's awesome advice. And I think if I could look back at 8-year-old Charlie, I think you're doing that right now, man. You're doing a good job. So, from Atlanta, guys, Athletic Podcast, Baseball Development Show. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you check out the links below, see what we've got going on. You guys leave a comment below, like and subscribe. Wish Charlie good luck on his season. Charlie, let's keep working, man. Let's get after it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Got it.